Well, FX sales by the central bank at its retail Dutch auction window rose to just under $400 million on Monday amid heavy demand for the greenback. Well, the central bank continues to keep a close watch on the dollar demand as it wades off pressure on the local currency. Well, joining me to discuss activity in Nigeria's fixed income and currency market is Ramat Baba, a currency trader at UBA. Ramat, thank you so much for making the time to join us today. As we mentioned there in the intro, we have seen quite a big demand for it. Just under $400 million is quite a bit. What has been driving the sentiment when it comes to the surge in dollar sales?
Good evening. At the auction of Monday, at the CBN's Ardas auction of Monday, $399.64 million was sold, while today $399.9 million was sold. I believe the CBN is actually increasing the offer at this window to satisfy the customers who have lost their bids since the reintroduction of the Ardas since the beginning of the month. So the increase in sale is majorly due to satisfy customers who have been losing their bids earlier in the month.
Right. Ramate, talking about the naira now, because we've also seen quite a strengthening in that. I mean, at the moment we're sitting at about 158.8 to the US dollars. What is behind this?
Today, the naira appreciated against the greenback. This was majorly due to the sales of dollars by some oil companies. Over $50 million was sold today by some oil companies, and as a result, we saw some appreciation in the naira. Yesterday, the market actually closed at levels of 159.8, while today it closed at 158.7080 to the dollars. The appreciation was basically due to the sales by the oil companies today.
Let's talk about T-bills now, because we're saying, we're expecting quite a lot of foreigners to be taking part in that. Given at where T-bills are standing at the moment, can we expect strong appetite for them?
In the treasury bills market, really, at the last auction, the stop rates were 10.8, 11.58, and 11.7. At the last auction. That's for the 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day bills, respectively. At these levels, I think the security is still very attractive to the foreign portfolio investors, and we still expect to see them coming into the market next week for the auction holding on Wednesday.
Ramata, maybe jumping a little bit now, but I want to go back and talk about the naira, because obviously a strong naira is good when investors want in, because they're looking at this as good security. But do tell us, where do you see the naira sitting? I mean, for the end of the year, what is your outlook in terms of how the performance of it will be?
For the currency, going to the end of the year, we actually expect to see the stability continuing and probably a bit of appreciation as we continue to see oil sales by the oil companies for the year-end dollar sales. So we really expect that the naira is going to remain stable, or probably at most see some form of appreciation for the currency.
There's been a lot of liquidity that we've seen in the market at the moment. Are you expecting the central bank to step in and start to mop up the excess liquidity that we've seen?
Really, the month of October has been very liquid, and it was majorly as a receipt of FAC funds of about 306 billion, which came into the system 2 weeks ago, as well as the CRR credits of about 164 billion. That's aside the OMO bills maturities, as well as other CBN credits, which sum up to over 150 billion. While there has been some series of OMO auctions to mop up this liquidity, you will agree with me that the sale at the auctions has actually been quite low, considering the level of liquidity we are seeing in the market today. We expect this to actually change next week, because the CRR, that's the cash reserve, is going to be debited next week. It's going to be posted next Wednesday, and we actually expect it to be a debit considering the level of liquidity in the system. We don't expect anything less than 150 billion to be debited from the system for cash reserve, and also there will be some form of withdrawals by the NMPC in the next few weeks to come. So we actually expect liquidity to drop, and this will actually push rates up going into the next few weeks.
Okay, so rates up is where you're looking at with regards to that. Are you able to give us just your broad expectations when it comes to the yields of the Treasury bill auction next week? Where do you see that sitting?
For the Treasury bills primary auction next week, we actually expect the stop rate to be about the same levels, but at worst a marginal drop in the rates that's following from the trend in the last few auctions.
All right, Ramata, thank you so much for that insight.